You know, there's one thing that all bass anglers have in common, and that's a limited amount of time on the water in which to locate bass. You need to focus your efforts on those high percentage places that give you the best chance of intercepting a lot of bass throughout the course of the day. And I want to give you a crash course on the #1 structure element you need to look for every time you go to the lake, the river, or the farm pond. We're going to talk about fishing points. Points that run into deep water are high traffic areas for all species of fish because they act as highways from shallow to deep water and vice versa. Bass are ambush feeders, meaning they'll often group up on points to ambush passing schools of bait fish or forage for crawfish along the point. Bass also use points as feeding shelves in which to push bait over the shallow part of the point for easy feeding opportunities. And when fishing a point, the most active bass will always be on top, so moving baits like crankbaits, jerk baits, spinner baits and swim jigs are great ways to pick off these more aggressive bass. Productive points don't have to be big dominant structures that run far out into the main lake. Bass also use shallow points along the shoreline to ambush passing bait. When fishing down a shoreline, look for these small outcroppings and irregularities in the shoreline. These always produce better than a straight bank line. And finally, you may find bass are on specific types of points on certain days and at different times of the year. For example, in the spring of the year, you may find bass along flatter points in the backs of creeks. And towards the summer, you may find them positioned on the point where a feeder creek runs into the main lake. You can then look for similar types of points in other parts of the lake. That's called a pattern, and now you're unlocking the key to a really successful day on the water. You know, really fishing is just a game of trial and error. But by focusing on points, you're going to give yourself the best opportunity to intercept some bass throughout the course of the day. Mix it up. Try different parts of the lake, different types of points. Eventually, you're going to run into them.